Story 1. His drug dealer called to let me know my husband had a $3,000 per week cocaine habit, and he owed money. Just calling to let me know they know which school bus my kid rides. Story 2. Saw a message preview on her lock screen of a guy heart reacting to a message from her saying, "At least you know whenever I'm with him, I'm thinking of you." We had just come back from a holiday for our anniversary and moved in together. Story 3. The guy she was cheating on me with found out about me. He found me at a bar, told me about it, bought me a drink, and I immediately got on the phone and broke up with her. I'm not going to go into super deep detail, but it was nice to have an honorable dude give me the warning instead of weeks of suspicion. I was about to get an apartment with her, and I dodged a bullet. Story 4. I bragged to a friend in front of my girlfriend that my girlfriend and I had only fought once in our 2 years of dating. My girlfriend said the reason we never fought was because she did not care enough about me to fight about anything. She also was cheating on me, but I did not learn that until after the relationship ended. Story 5. Him being a pedophile continuing an extramarital affair with a single mom so he could molest her daughter with permission. They are both in prison now. Story 6. 3 months after moving our 3 kids and us to another state, she was cheating and got pregnant. She had the child with that guy, then proceeded to cheat on him to get pregnant again, except with twins. So 6 kids in 7 years with 3 people that I know of. Story 7. She went out with her friends one night. I had a headache and didn't feel like going anywhere, so I stayed in. She had messed up before, so we did the whole location sharing thing. This idiot still goes to this guy's house and didn't come home until 5 a.m. The truth was, I didn't have a headache. I had a feeling she was talking to him again, so I let it happen. It happened on a Friday night, and Saturday night we had a dinner planned with her parents who were in town. I figured I'd suffer through it, work on finding a new place to live immediately, and the next week just disappear. Saturday night at dinner, her mom says, "Let me know when you want to propose, and I'll give you my ring." My ex nudges me and says, "Yeah, when are you going to ask, huh?" I laughed so hard during the interaction, knowing she was with someone else less than 24 hours earlier. Sunday morning, she starts going in on me about the dishes as I'm doing them. I finally got so fed up, I just laughed and said, "So where were you Friday night?" She turned white. Story 8. He was married with a son. I found a box of his wedding photos and he tried to tell me he, the groom holding the bride, was just the best man. I took the train home immediately. He was also not 21. He was 30. The guy was a bellend. Story 9. I found her and her sister texting about birth control. More specifically, the sister was going to start deliberately sabotaging hers. When I asked about it, I was told it was okay. She's just trying to make sure he stays. I left fast enough you could see smoke. Wish I knew who the sister's boyfriend was, so I could have warned him. Story 10. Not sure when it started, but on weekends, I'm watching and caring for my old and delicate grandpa who has dementia. Nope. She was back with her cheating ex to try again. Trash goes outside. Story 11. She was talking to a guy in another state. She decided she liked him better. He was coming to see her, and that's when I found out about him. She basically told me he wasn't going to be happy to see me around and to go away. Well, the joke was on her because he came to tell her he found someone at home and was breaking up with her. After he left, she decided to come crawling back to me, and as much as I wanted to get back with her, I just couldn't trust her. Story 12. He was a recovered addict that I had known well since we were 17 or 18, then together for years in our mid to late 20s. Turned out he never really stopped. He used drugs in our apartment constantly while I slept, and when he stopped being able to contribute to bills and groceries, I found out he had gambled every penny he had left away on a mobile app. Once it was put into perspective, he left willingly for my sake. I hope he is better now. I do not hate him, but I hate what he was doing to both of us. Story 13. He left his phone at my place and asked me to bring it to him. I still don't know why, but I opened it. He had left the text message with a picture of another woman's private area on it. Story 14. The coworker he was worried I was attracted to, The difference is I never talked to him outside of work-related things and shut him down immediately when he showed interest in me. A female coworker gave my ex a little attention, and he cheated and left me for her almost immediately. He later regretted it and said the grass isn't always greener. Now he's with her because I wouldn't move back with him, and he didn't want to be lonely. I'm glad I stayed on my side of the lawn. I would never want to be the one responsible for how awful another person feels because I couldn't stay faithful at work. A partner should never have to feel insecure about you going to your job. Story 15. We were engaged. He had been acting weird, so I went through his phone and found he had been chatting with women on Discord, telling them how horrible I am and how wonderful he is. Story 16. She and I had been high school best friends and dated for a little bit before she broke up with me after we graduated. We remained friends, had conversations to reconcile, and continued to be in contact with each other for over 18 years. We had a silly pact where we would marry each other if we were over 35 and single. Well, we were both single, done with dating, obviously had chemistry, and decided to go for it slowly. We were all in, and I didn't think otherwise or suspect a thing. She lived about 2 hours away by plane on a direct flight, so seeing each other was easy. After a few months, she had a manic episode and went missing, so I called her parents. They hadn't heard from her in a week as they were out of town. They were sending her sister to check on her and calling friends. I called her work at the deli she worked at. The moment I said I was her boyfriend, her boss said, "Well, I'm her boyfriend." Suffice it to say, she'd been living a double life. He'd been giving her money for her flights to visit sick family members, which was actually me, and to see my dying dad, whom she said was her uncle to him. I had also helped her a couple of times with flights, so she was pocketing the money. Her family and I were in contact during the whole situation, so I told them what was happening. She didn't like that because she got exposed for the fraud she was to her family. Story 17. That he was fantasizing about places or ways my body would never be found. He said it out loud once, and that was it. We have kids together, so I still have to see him, but thankfully my current husband makes sure we're never alone together. Story 18. She knew we were tight on money after she moved in with me, and she needed to find a job urgently. She claimed to be applying for jobs all the time. She didn't want me looking over her resume or application letters. Months later, I discovered she never applied to any jobs out of fear of rejection. Story 19. I wanted to surprise her by picking her up from work and taking her out. Imagine how surprised I was when she ran out of work and jumped in the car of my best friend. Story 20. He always claimed to be the funny one in the relationship, made it part of his personality. For background, he cheated on me, but that's not the secret. Honestly, I was probably going to forgive him if it weren't for this. Afterwards, I found his secret Twitter account where he followed all the girls he told me not to worry about, and all his tweets were my jokes and clever observations that he never laughed at. And now he's using my comedy to seem funny and cool to other girls. Story 21. His addiction to cam girl sites. I found out through the insane credit card bill that he could no longer hide, as the credit card was through his bank and he had maxed out his already insane credit limit. The bank had started taking 80% of his deposited paychecks to pay it down. The credit card bill was over $150,000 when I discovered it, and he could no longer pay his share of household bills due to the bank garnishing his check to pay down the balance. Serious question, though Pornhub is free and OnlyFans wasn't a thing yet in 2015, how do you rack up $150,000 on cam girl sites in secret no less? Like, where was he even watching and interacting with those sites? In the bathroom, at work, or something? We were literally together every waking minute outside of work. We were together 9.5 years at that point. Smart man tanked his relationship and credit all in one go. Story 22. Her secret heart. She wanted to be a traditional wife. In my 30s, I was working a good-paying union job as a welder in a shipyard, a job I truly loved. I owned a home but had no other debt. Our car was paid for. She worked as a sushi waitress a couple of times a week and earned all of our fun money plus a little extra for her hobbies. Things were chill. We shared our car, which wasn't a big deal since our shifts never crossed, and if she ever needed the car that day, she would bring it to work in the morning at 5 a.m. and head back to do her day. A few years went by, and she expressed interest in going back to school. Awesome. She'd had some public school trauma, so we spent a lot of time talking it over, and she decided to start with one community college art class. Low stakes, creative, aligned with her interests. She loved it. Wonderful. She loved it so much she wanted to start full-time classes. We pulled out our finances and looked things over. I could pick up overtime easily, so I'd start picking up an extra shift a couple times a month. She dropped down to one shift at sushi. This made things tight, but she was really starting to blossom. Then the next quarter rolled around, and she decided she needed a car of her own in order to take the classes she wanted. Sharing a car had its limits. We took the finances out again, and the only way to make that happen was for her to earn $300 more a month to cover the new car note or for me to work 6 days a week, every week. I said I would not do that. Shipyard welding is hard work. This is when her secret was revealed. She told me with vitriol and rage, "I will never work as hard as you. I will never earn as much as you. You have to take care of me that way, and you need to get used to that now." It was then that I realized I didn't have a wife who wanted a 50-50 partnership with me. She wanted me to spend my lifetime providing her with a lifestyle she herself wasn't willing to work for. 10 years building up to that moment. 7 years of marriage shattered with that secret heart of hers. I filed for divorce 3 months later and never looked back. Story 23. He screamed at me to leave him after confronting him about being on Tinder. I had just given birth 2 weeks before. It's been 4 years since we started co-parenting, and the guy is upset with me for having a boyfriend. Story 24. Found out she was taking more sausage than a German meatpacking plant. Most of my friends were providing the sausage. Left the city and only occasionally go back to visit my parents every couple of years. Story 25. I found text messages with his sister where she was giving him advice on how to freeze or microwave my birth control without damaging the packaging. Boy, bye. Story 26. He was a methamphetamine user. Swore he would stop. Never did, and everyone thought he was this great guy. No one would believe otherwise. He hid it very well. When I say people thought he was a great guy, he was very abusive all around, selfish, and he didn't mind self-destruction as long as he saw you destruct first. No one could see it. He even bragged about how well he fooled people. To this day, I don't know how much was the methamphetamine and how much was the real him. Story 27. I always suspected because he liked all her stuff on Facebook, but barely liked my stuff anymore. But maybe it's just the algorithm, right? I rationalized it. Then, during a get-together with our friends, my stomach dropped when I saw her walk in the door. I held it together for about 3 hours, but I couldn't help seeing how they lit up when they talked to each other. Then I went to the bathroom to throw up and get myself back together. I was overreacting, seeing things that weren't there. It was just anxiety coming from my last relationship ending with him cheating. I spent an hour there crying, and he didn't even check on me. I finally went out and didn't see either of them. I don't know what compelled me, but I looked for them, and there they were on top of each other. Neither of them even looked at me. They just stopped and stared at the wall like I wasn't there. Said nothing. He denied it until the day I blocked him. He said she was just drunk, and he was being there for her. I wanted to say I needed him to be there for me, but there was no point. There was no rational thought in his words. He was just spewing out whatever he thought would be easiest to end the conversation. It didn't matter what I said because he didn't care, but even his friends admitted it. And now she's his girlfriend, and I've never been able to love since. Story 28. He decided to pick up a habit of cocaine once or twice a month. He had done it in the past, before we met, even though he knew it was a deal breaker for me. He told me point blank, "I didn't think you would find out." Over a year he lied to me. That was the last straw. Story 29. The first girlfriend I had wanted us to run each other's credit to make sure we were financially compatible. I said sure. So she signed up for her credit report, I signed up for mine. She gave me a copy of her Experian report, a PDF copy, and it looked good, so it ticked off the box of fiscally responsible. A few weeks later, I overheard her talking to 2 different collection agencies, and I wondered why she would be, if her credit score was over 780. I confronted her about it, and she told me she doctored the credit report because she liked me, and she had horrible credit. I told her I would have stayed with her if she was making an effort to clean up her financial past, but I couldn't overlook the lying. Story 30. She worked at one of the stores I had merchandised for years. My relationship ended, so a few months later, I approached this girl and gave her my number. She texted enthusiastically, but said she had just gotten out of a relationship, so she wouldn't want to rush into anything. I was like, hey, me too. We got along really well and hung out every day for 9 months. Then, over the phone one night when I was on vacation, she teased me when she heard me say to my mom that I was talking to a friend. She was like, a friend? Eh? I said, let's talk about that when I get home. It had been 9 months, so I was like, okay, it's safe to say we're together now. She got quiet and stopped texting me. I was so confused. No explanation. So I made a Facebook account and looked her up. She never broke up with the boyfriend and essentially cheated on both of us for 9 months. That was fun. I messaged the guy and told him to call me. When I told him, the first thing he said was, it's not the first time she's done this. Then he said, she told me you guys hooked up once a couple of months ago. I was like, no, we've hooked up nearly every day, sometimes twice a day, for the past 9 months. They're still together and just had a kid.